Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. Janie Crawford was a young girl with a big dream. She wanted to struggle with life, but it seemed to elude her. She searched as much of the world as she could, waiting for the world to be made. Janie was searching for her dream when Nan appeared out the window and saw Johnny Taylor lacerating her Janie with a kiss. That was the end of her childhood. Janie's first dream was dead, so she became a woman. That's how she wound up married to Logan Killix. Janie was never satisfied with Mr. Killix. He wanted a field hand, and Janie wanted love in life. Her shot at love wandered by one day and introduced himself as Joe Starks. He was from Georgia. He spoke for change and chance, and Janie jumped at the chance for change. Janie's old thoughts were going to come in handy now, but new words would have to be made and said to fit them. Joe didn't make many speeches with rhymes to her, but he bought her the best things. Joe was starting to view Janie as another one of his possessions. Joe got jealous because other men lusted after Janie. He made Janie hide her long hair behind plain scarves, and slapped her wild mouth in plain view so everyone would know who to shut up and listen to. As time wore on, Janie disregarded the things Joe did and bought for her. She grew sick of his daily chores and restless from the lack of change. Janie went to no trouble to hide her contempt towards Joe. You was always off talking and fixin' things, and I feel like I'm just marking time. Janie and Joe grew apart. They stopped sleeping in the same bed, and Joe refused to eat her meals. Things stayed that way until Joe's death soon after. Janie was sad, of course, but soon felt full of her newfound freedom. Again, her old thoughts were going to come in handy now, and new words would have to be made and said to fit them. This time, it was Tea-Cake who'd untaught me the maiden language all over. He was handsome and young and had a thing for gambling, and he and Janie fell in love. The people of Eatonville, they sat in judgment. Women envied the way Tea-Cake looked at Janie, and men wished they could look at Janie the way Tea-Cake did. Their envy made burning statements with questions, and killing tools out of laughs. It was mass cruelty, but Tea-Cake and Janie were deaf to their gossip. Tea-Cake and Janie gone hunting. Tea-Cake and Janie gone fishing. Tea-Cake and Janie gone to Orlando to go to the movies. Tea-Cake and Janie gone to a dance. Day after day, week after week. Janie and Tea-Cake traveled south to Jacksonville, where they could spend every moment together without being mocked by old rules. When news of a storm came, Janie and Tea-Cake ignored the warnings and were eventually caught up in the flood. Trying to pull Janie to high ground, Tea-Cake was bit by a rabid dog. The worst of the storm was over, and people were back to rebuild their homes. It was obvious something had come over Tea-Cake. Janie had never seen this violent side of him before, and it scared her. Amidst one of his fits, Tea-Cake pulled a gun on Janie and fired blank shots. Afraid the next bullets wouldn't be blank, Janie took a rifle and returned fire, ending the life of her true love, Tea-Cake. Janie and Tea-Cake may have had a short-lived love, but their love was filled with life. In her marriages with Logan Killix and Joe Starks, Janie wasn't living or loving. Her life was being lived for the convenience of her husband. With Tea-Cake, it was different. They had a mutual respect for one another. Janie was Tea-Cake's dream, and Tea-Cake was all Janie needed to venture upon her own.